At the hospital nursery, I heard the nurse tell her colleague, switch the wristbands. We're giving her the wrong baby. Did she just say wrong baby? I was lying in my hospital bed, exhausted from 16 hours of labor, when I heard those words through the thin nursery wall. My daughter had been born 3 hours ago, and I was waiting for them to bring her back from her routine newborn checkup. The nurses thought I was sleeping, but I was wide awake, too excited to rest after finally meeting my little girl. Through the crack in the door, I could see 2 nurses standing over the baby stations, holding tiny plastic wristbands in their hands. The younger nurse, Sarah, looked panicked as she whispered urgently to her supervisor. Mrs. Peterson in room 314 is supposed to get baby girl Williams, but we accidentally put baby girl Thompson's bracelet on the wrong infant. If we don't fix this now, she'll take home someone else's child. My blood turned to ice as I realized they were talking about me. I was Mrs. Peterson in room 314, and I'd been waiting to hold my daughter for what felt like forever. The supervisor, an older woman with graying hair, was examining 2 nearly identical newborns lying side by side in their plastic bassinets. Both babies had similar birth weights. Both were healthy girls born within an hour of each other, and both had somehow gotten their identification mixed up during the chaos of a busy delivery night. Sarah's hands were shaking as she explained how the mix-up happened. Baby Thompson was born at 11:47 p.m. to the mother in room 318, but her wristband fell off during the vitamin K injection. When we put a new one on, we accidentally used the label printer that was set to Mrs. Peterson's information. I stayed perfectly still, pretending to sleep while listening to them debate how to handle the situation without anyone finding out about their mistake. The supervisor was clearly trying to avoid paperwork and potential lawsuits that would come from admitting they'd nearly sent home the wrong babies. Let's just switch the bands quietly and tell both mothers their babies had extended monitoring, she said, glancing around nervously. Neither family will know what happened, and we can avoid the whole incident report nightmare. But Sarah seemed uncomfortable with covering up such a massive error. What if there are medical complications later? What if one of these babies has a condition that affects the wrong family? This is someone's child we're talking about. The conversation became even more disturbing when the supervisor revealed this wasn't the first time something like this had happened on her shift. Last month, we had a similar situation with 2 baby boys, and everything worked out fine once we corrected it, she said casually, as if mixing up human beings was just a minor clerical error. The families never knew, and there were no complications. Hospital policy is to handle these situations internally to protect patient confidence and avoid unnecessary panic. Sarah looked horrified as she realized her supervisor was describing a pattern of cover-ups rather than isolated incidents. I couldn't stay silent any longer and cleared my throat loudly, making both nurses freeze in panic. Excuse me? I called out, sitting up in my bed with my heart pounding. Is there a problem with my daughter? The supervisor immediately put on a fake smile and walked toward my room while Sarah remained by the babies, looking like she might vomit from stress. Oh no, Mrs. Peterson, everything is perfectly fine. We're just completing some routine paperwork before bringing your beautiful girl back to you. But I'd heard enough to know that wasn't true, and I wasn't about to let them cover up a mistake that could affect my child's entire future. I demanded to speak with the hospital administrator immediately, explaining exactly what I'd overheard about the wristband mix-up and the supervisor's plan to cover it up. Within an hour, the maternity ward was swarming with administrators, patient advocates, and medical staff conducting emergency DNA tests to confirm which baby belonged to which family. The test revealed that I would have indeed taken home the wrong child. If I hadn't overheard that conversation, baby girl Thompson would have gone to the wrong family while my actual daughter went to strangers. Sarah was commended for her ethical concerns and transferred to a different department, while the supervisor was immediately terminated and reported to the state nursing board. The investigation uncovered that the supervisor had been covering up medical errors for years, including the previous baby mix-up she'd mentioned, and several medication mistakes that had put patients at risk. Hospital policy was completely overhauled to include mandatory DNA verification for all newborns, redundant identification systems, and immediate reporting requirements for any safety incidents. Both families affected by the mix-up received full disclosure about what happened, along with comprehensive medical records and genetic testing to ensure there were no hidden health issues that needed to be addressed. The near miss that I'd accidentally overheard through a thin nursery wall had prevented 2 families from living their entire lives with the wrong children and exposed a dangerous culture of error concealment that could have continued indefinitely if one exhausted new mother hadn't been awake at exactly the right moment to hear the truth.